I'm tired of running. I'm tired of playing damage control. No one should suffer like this. That wicked, human-like grin. Those menacing eyes. That beckoning hand. Night after night, the same image, the same demon demanding me to spread the word. I tried to protect you all. I really tried, but it has finally gotten the best of me. It's too much. I'm just too tired to go on. I had hoped the account of Mary E. would be the last I'd ever hear. When I deleted that email and the attached image file, I was hoping to leave it all behind me. My curiosity went unsatisfied, but it was for the best. If the monster behind the picture was real, if Smile.Dog truly existed, I wouldn't be able to bear the temptation. I would sacrifice some other poor, unsuspecting soul to that thing to save my own skin. I knew that, and so I washed my hands of it then and there. I never imagined that it would follow me. After graduation, I left my hometown to further my career in journalism. Just me and my handheld camera, looking to film something that would catch the attention of the news station of my choice. I needed something to get my foot in the door, something that would lead to greater things in the future. Around a year into searching for my destiny, roaming from city to city, it found me in the most traumatic way possible. It nearly killed me. On a stretch of I-90 between South Dakota and Montana, I watched in horror as an 18-wheeler drifted over the rails of an overpass and plummeted into oncoming traffic. That crashed into the ground in an upside-down heap of twisted metal, mere feet from my car. Had I not slammed on my brakes at the precise moment, I wouldn't be alive to tell this story. In hindsight, that might have been the best. As blessed as I was, however, a few others weren't so fortunate. As the trailer screeched into the southbound lane, two oncoming SUVs plowed into the wreckage at over 90 miles per hour, one after the other. They didn't even have time to react. It was over in an instant, no survivors. I sat there for what felt like hours in a daze, not completely sure if I'd survived. I could hear sirens approaching, and they brought me back to reality from my stupor. I'm not proud of it, but I saw an opportunity and I took it. The sight made my gorge rise more than once, but I spent the next few minutes walking the perimeter of the accident, filming everything I could. Twisted and bloody corpses behind the steering wheels, plumes of black smoke rising from crumpled hoods, the hot haze of rising flames. And then I saw it. The semi's driver's side door had been ripped from its hinges, and the driver lay on his back in the overturned cab, his arm outstretched into the street, and there it lay, just beyond his fingertips, signed at one of the corners and splashed with blood, an old floppy disk with 3 words scrawled on its label. Spread the word. I stared at it, stunned, and Mary's final words came flooding back to memory. I still didn't know what I believed, or even if that disc contained the monster that haunted her dreams for so long. For all I knew, it could have been a coincidence. But I wouldn't risk it. I crushed it underfoot, stomped it into a scattering of plastic shards, and threw the remains into the fire rising from the first SUV's engine. If Smile.Dog was behind this tragedy, I wouldn't let it take any more victims. That footage proved to be the breakthrough I was waiting for. The director of a local news studio received it with great enthusiasm, and he paid me more than I could have hoped. Gore brings in ratings, after all. He invited me to keep in touch, said I was going great places. It was a bittersweet feeling, especially when the story aired. As it turned out, the semi-driver had not been intoxicated. There had been no mechanical failures with his vehicle. He had no history of suicidal tendencies. His death was a mystery. It was clear that he let it happen, but nobody could discern the reason. But I knew. The lack of another, more reasonable explanation cleared any doubt in my mind. It was his only escape from the nightmares. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be my last encounter with Smile.Dog's curse. It seemed blood and guts were my gateway to a real career, and I was going to give the director what he wanted. If I could prove myself as a freelancer, I thought, maybe I could land a spot in-house. And from there, who knows? Reporter, anchor, the sky was the limit. So I bought myself a police scanner and got to work. I had served for 6 months before it found me again. This time, in the back pocket of a jumper in Billings. Then a week later, lying near the purse of a woman who ran into traffic in Whitefish. Then a few days later, in the corner of a convenience store where the owner pulled a shotgun in his mouth. I destroyed every copy I found, but they kept turning up. It was following me, and I knew that for sure a few weeks later when a package arrived at my doorstep. I didn't recognize the return address, but I knew what it was. I could hear it rattling around inside, just waiting to claim me like it had claimed all the others. I wouldn't give it the chance. I tore it from the box and tossed it into a heated frying pan. Watching the plastic curl and melt, it screamed. It hissed with the agony of a dying animal, just as it had for Mary's widower, Terrence. The sound chilled my blood. Things were quiet for a while after that. Long enough that I almost thought it had actually given up and taken no for an answer. Long enough for me to build some real rapport with the news station and lay down some roots. Life finally seemed to be shaping up, and then I received a call from my mother back home. She said she was just calling to check up. Bored me to death with tales of her bridge club and Dad's bodily functions, a typical mom call. And then she asked me a question that shook me to the core. "Honey, do the words 'spread the word' mean anything to you?" My heart leapt into my throat. What are you talking about?" "Yeah, someone left this little square plastic thing in our mailbox this morning," she said. "No package or anything. I don't even know what it is. And the words were written on it. Any idea what this is about?" I paused, terrified. I don't know, Mom. It's probably just a prank. Just throw it away." "But what is it?" "Just throw it away. Just throw it away, Mom," I shouted. She heard the panic in my voice. "Honey, is something the matter?" I took a breath and wiped the cold sweat from my brow. Yeah, Mom, I'm fine. Just toss it, okay? Don't worry about it." She didn't press the issue any further, just moved on to some story about my brother's new girlfriend. And I'm grateful. This monster, this Smile.Dog, was now threatening my loved ones thousands of miles away. It was angry, and it was trying to get to me through them. I thank God that it decided to attack the most computer illiterate person in my family first. But maybe that was the point. Maybe it was a warning. I don't know, but I wasn't about to wait and find out who was next. I had to end it. Thankfully, the box that held the last disc was still in the dumpster outside of my apartment complex. I traced the return address to an abandoned storage facility in Livingston. I drove there with a pair of bolt cutters and 5 gallons of gasoline, unsure of what I would find, but determined not to let anybody else die. I would burn the whole place to the ground if it meant saving even one more person from Mary's fate. I had only just pulled in past the front gate when, sure enough, Smile.Dog showed me the way. A single disc laying just outside the door of a unit at the end of the first row, Unit 15A. Even as I approached, I could feel the air grow colder. And I would hear the final sounds of white noise just beyond the door. Whatever it was, whatever was responsible for all these tragic suicides, lay just beyond. You could feel it. I cut the lock. With no small measure of hesitation, I lifted the door, a mistake that I sorely regret. At last, Smile.Dog had claimed me. Its ghastly image pierced the darkness from a small, ancient monitor on a desk across the far wall. I stared it right in the eyes. Felt its malice boiling from the surface of the screen. Felt the red hand grasp my mind as my legs buckled beneath me. And then came the convulsions, racking my body as white noise roared from its broken speakers. I blacked out. When I came to, the monitor was gone. In its place and all across the floor, hundreds of, maybe thousands of floppy disks, all marked with the same grim instructions. Spread the word. I don't remember much after that. It just snapped, blinded by rage, but I remember the flames and the stench of burning gasoline, and I remember the eyebrow I lost as I stood too close watching them burn. But of course it wasn't over. I knew that. I tried to put off sleep as long as possible. When the coffee stopped working, I turned to cocaine. But it found me eventually, and Smile.Dog poured into my mind with the searing hot of a branding iron. And throughout the night, just as it had done to Mary, just as it had done to that semi-driver, it demanded that I spread the word. This monster is insatiable, and it will not be reasoned with. I must spread the word, or it'll torment me until the day I die. And then It'll come from my family, my friends. It will not stop until I do as it asks. I broke into the news studio tonight. I used their editing software, just a few frames in some heartfelt piece about soldiers returning home to their families. Should be enough. I don't know what will happen, but I don't intend to be around to find out. By the time it airs, I'll have left the country. So please don't look for me. For what it's worth, I never meant for it to end this way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I've worked with a lot of talent over the years. Many of the authors have books of their own, which I highly encourage all of you to check out to see more of their tales of the strange and horrific. And for those looking for a sampler of some of my absolute favorites, I've worked with these authors to compile just that. Stories that have been made famous throughout the internet, stories on this channel, and some that are brand new. The CreepyPasta collection is a long time coming, with support from all authors involved. Check it out on Amazon and in your local bookstores September 2nd. Or, I suppose you could save yourself the nightmares.